What if we told you that the Nigerian government just announced again that it will finally fix the power sector? 3.3 trillion. That's the number. That's the promise. But here is the question every Nigerian must ask. Is this genuine reform, or is this just another press release designed to buy time and silence critics? Stay with us, because the history of this story is deeply troubling, and the opposition has something very powerful to say about it. If this is the first time you are visiting our channel, please like and subscribe to our post. If you are here new, we break down every Nigerian politics and policy in plain language. No spin, no party loyalty, just facts. Today, we are dissecting the Tinubu's government latest announcement on the power sector. A 3.3 trillion debt settlement plan that dropped this weekend. We will tell you what the government says, what the facts on the ground tell us, what happened to the last promise made in 2024, and what P2B had to say just days ago that has gone viral. Let's get into it. On Sunday, April 5th, 2026, presidential spokesman Bayo Onanuga released a statement announcing that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved a 3.3 trillion payment plan aimed at resolving long-standing debts in Nigeria's power sector and boosting the reliability of electricity supply. The plan targets that they call legacy debts accumulated between February 2015 and March 2025, and following verification. A 3.3 trillion has been agreed as a full and final settlement, ensuring a fair and transparent resolution. Now, here is what the government says has already happened. Implementation has begun, with 15 power plants signing settlement agreement totaling 2.3 trillion. The federal government has already raised 501 billion to fund these payments. Out of that amount, 223 billion has been disbursed, with further payments underway. The special advisor on energy, Olu Arowole Vengen, described it as a more than debt clearance, saying the goal is to rebuild trust across the entire power value chain, ensuring gas suppliers are paid, power plants keeps running, and the system begins to work more reliably. The presidency also confirmed that a second phase of the program, known as Series 2, will commence within the current quarter. On paper, this sounds like a serious intervention, but let's put it in a full context, because this is not the first time the government has made a similar announcement. Apart from the projected 2 trillion subsidy for 2024, the government was already carrying another 2 trillion in legacy debt at that time. This put it on a collision course with electricity generation companies, GENCOs, who threatened to shut down operation over unpaid arrears. Then in April 2025, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, went before cameras and promised to pay off a debt of 4 trillion owed to electricity generating companies. And now in April 2026, there is yet another announcement. This time, 3.3 trillion. Why the discrepancy in figures? Because the debt kept growing while the promises went unfulfilled. The power sector's legacy debt, which stood at 4 trillion in December 2024, was projected to hit about 6.6 trillion by the end of February 2026, rising by about 200 billion every single month. The government didn't pay the earlier promised debt fast enough, so the crisis worsened. And even with the 2025 promise, Gencos said they almost received nothing. In May 2025, the special advisor on energy had announced that the federal government planned to pay 2 trillion of the total 4.7 trillion debt before the end of the next quarter. But the generation companies say they were never contacted for any meeting or discussion after that announcement. Even more damning, although 5 generation companies signed settlement agreement in 2026 January, an industry insider confirmed that as of that time, no payment had actually been received. The pattern is painfully clear. Announcement, fanfare, a very little execution. So, is this latest move different, or is it just a propaganda? Let's be balanced. Let's be fair. There are some signs that this could be more serious. The government was facing a very real crisis. Gas firms were threatening to stop supply to thermal plants over the unpaid 3.3 trillion. The shutdown threat was imminent. Unlike previous announcements, this one comes with a structured figure reached through a verification and reconciliation process, with 15 power plants already signing agreements. Some funds have also been raised and disbursed, even if only a fraction of the total. But fundamental problem remains. Nigeria's installed power generation capacity sits at 13,000 megawatts. Yet, available capacity is just around 5,100 megawatts, with average hourly generation of roughly 4,280 megawatts. The lights are still not on. Nigeria loses an estimated $26 billion annually due to electricity shortages, with businesses spending an additional 22 billion every year on fuel and generators. Until megawatts actually increase on the grid, Nigerians have every right to be skeptical. Now let's talk about political pressure, and nobody has applied it more sharply than ADC's P2B. Just days before this government announcement, Obi released a statement that went viral. He reminded Nigerians that during the 2023 campaign, President Tinubu made a clear electoral promise. If I don't give you constant electricity in 4 years, don't vote for me for second term. Obi pointed out that when Tinubu took over in 2023, Nigeria had a power supply of over 4,000 megawatts and a lower tariffs. Today, electricity supply is less than 4,000 megawatts on the average, and Nigerians are paying higher tariffs. Output has gone down, cost has gone up. And to drive the point home, Obi pointed to a truly embarrassing moment. President Tinubu, during a brief airport stopover in Jos on April 2, 2026, to visit grieving families of the terrorist attack, stated that one of the reasons for his 10-minute stay was that airport had no electricity, saying, and I quote, "You have no light here. I fly out in 10 minutes." The irony was not lost on anyone. The man who promised Nigerians constant electricity could not stay at a Nigerian airport because there was no power. Obi further noted that Nigeria currently has the lowest per capita electricity consumption in the world, at just 144 kilowatts per hour per person, compared to Africa's average of 617 kilowatt hour, meaning Nigerians consume less electricity than any other African country on the continent. So where does this leave us? Here is our honest assessment. The 3.3 trillion plan is real in its announcement. It is official government policy backed by a structured settlement process. But whether it translates to a real electricity for Nigerians is an entirely different question. The government has a credibility problem rooted in broken promises across 2024, 2025, and now 2026. Each time numbers gets bigger, the press releases gets fancier, and the light remains off. What would make the difference? Consistent fund disbursement, transparent tracking, and ultimately more megawatts on the grid. P2B is right to call it out. The labor movement is right to be skeptical. And you watching this are right to demand accountability. That is for today. What do you think? Is this 3.3 trillion plan real or another political performance? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like this video if it gave you clarity. Share it with someone who needs to know the truth. And subscribe to our channel. Until I see you on the next video, remain blessed. Bye for now.